Hello and welcome to this episode of N-Scale Trains with Chris. In this episode, we're still dealing with, guess what? The Liftout. Still giving me grief. So I'm going to try to sort it out once and for all and get it fixed. Let's get started. Here's the problem. The same problem's been going on. It fits on the one side, but doesn't fit on this side, no matter how much I've kind of chipped away at it. And of course, you could force it into place by pounding on it, but that seems like a really bad idea long term. And so, what to do? And of course, the other issue is the keeps expanding and contracting, mostly expanding. So I was on a call with some marvelous motor railroaders, and somebody mentioned metal, and I thought, hey, maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to replace the wood underneath at the bottom of the foam here with metal. So that's what I'm going to try to do next. So the first thing I need to do before I dismantle and take the wood off, I need to take these side panels off with my trusty power drill. The screws out, we just remove the side panels. Like so. With the side panels off, now I have to pry the foam off with my paint scraper here. I got it loosened with the paint scraper, so I'll just because I don't want to break any of the foam, so just push it apart, and there we have it. Houston, we have separation. Because the metal doesn't cover the whole gap, I had to install these two extension pieces. So now let's see how the metal fits. And here it is. And this is a piece of sheet aluminum I bought from Home Depot. But yeah, there it is. It fits. So that part worked. Now we just have to test it with the foam. So here's the foam piece. Here's the foam piece on. And yeah, looks good. The level is right. I had to make sure I accounted for the thickness of the metal, but yeah, no, it looks like it's good. Now I just have to glue it all together. Since the aluminum isn't as rigid as the wood, I've added this piece of hardboard on just to provide some extra stiffening. I've glued everything down with white glue, and I've weighted it down with these weights and the jug of glue itself, plus these 3, 4, 5 blocks on the piece of wood stiffener. So we'll let it dry and see how it turns out. Now that the glue's set, we'll try, there's the two pieces, and we'll try putting it in place here. So here we go. And it's a little awkward because I'm camera in one hand and the lift out the other. But there it is, settled into place. The fit's good. Height-wise, it matches up with the other pieces. The only concern, because it's aluminum, it's a little springy. Maybe too springy. The other issue is that my little pegs don't line up anymore, so it's not holding it in place, sliding back and forth. So I don't know. It's nice and lightweight and everything. That's wonderful, but I'm really thinking maybe I should have used not aluminum, maybe something heavier like steel, so it's a little more rigid. So I think I'm gonna have to do this again. So I bought this piece of 1 foot by 2 foot steel, and you can see it's much more rigid than the aluminum. It still bounces a little bit, but I think it'll be okay. So now I just have to glue it onto the foam. So I have to pry the aluminum off, so hopefully it won't be too hard to do. Oh, it's coming up very easily, and look at that. The glue is still wet because it makes sense. The steel's non-porous. It would never dry. So I'll have to figure something else out. So with the white glue not working, I'm going to use this stuff, which I bought a while back. It's super adhesive. It's supposed to stick to everything, including steel. So that's what I'm going to do next. Before we spray it on the foam off to make sure it doesn't destroy the foam, so I donned my trusty gloves, and I'm going to spray some on this scrap piece to make sure it doesn't cause any harm. Give the can a good shake and spray. Make sure we get good coverage. Yeah. Now we wait. So we've left it sit for a few minutes, and you can see the glue is on there, but the foam appears to have taken no harm. So I think we can safely say we're safe to proceed. I've outlined the areas on the foam. I just did some scribing with a mechanical pencil, just so I'm only spraying on the foam where I need to cover the steel. I've sprayed the adhesive on the steel and on the foam. Now just to put them together. And there they are together. Now to weight it down to make sure it bonds. So I've weighted it down with 3, 4, 5 weights, 2 paper weights, and the big can of paint. Let's let it bond and see how we do. So there it is. It's all cured and bonded and in place. And it fits really well. There's a little bit of flex to it, but not very much. Much less than the aluminum. I think it'll be good. And the levels are good. Everything fits together very nicely. And it's not hard to move, as you can see here. It's heavy, heavier than the aluminum, much heavier. Not quite as heavy as the wood, but... So what I'm hoping is that maybe I finally solved the lift-out problem. We'll see. So it's a couple days later, and you can see it's there. It's been hanging there. It's sagging rather badly. So I don't think the steel is going to work. Sigh. But I do have another idea, which I'm going to try. So guess what? The wood is back. You know, I got thinking, since I was willing to go short with the metal, I would just cut pieces off. So I cut about 1/4 of an inch off each side. So that'll cover the expansion. And it still works because the foam is the right length. So and I was willing to do that with the aluminum and steel. But now the problem is it's too high because I raised these side pieces because of the metal. So now I have to put those back down. I removed the 2 extension pieces, and since they're no longer needed, now I just have to move the 2 side pieces down to their original position. So I moved them back to their original position. Fortunately, the screw holes are still there. I just had to locate them and put them in. Now they're in. Let's see how the wood fits in. So there it is in place with lots of room to expand at either end. It fits well, firmly in place, and my alignment sticks work again. So now just have to put the foam back on. So there's a lift out with the wood all glued, the foam all glued onto the wood, I should say. And it fits well, lots of room to expand. And I did have to, and the level's quite good too, but I did have to put a shim in this upper corner, as you can see right there. So there you have it. Lift out's back in place. There's no spring to it. We got the wood back underneath, and it's got room to grow on either end to, 1/4 inch to 3/8 kind of thing. It's funny how I went from the wood to the aluminum to the steel and back to the wood, but I guess you got to try different things. So now the thing I have to do to get back to where I was is I have to put the main line back in across the front there. Oh yeah, and I put the sides back on. So there it is. So the tracks are back in place and the wires have been dropped through. I made a cut on the track there because I want the bits on the lift out to stick out over rather than the other way around. So when I put it into place, everything falls into place. That cuts right on the line, and this kind of lines well. It sticks out a little bit, but the correct way. Now I have to fasten all of this down so that everything stays in place. I was using carpenter's glue, but I decided it was too brittle, so I'm going to use this. It's just tackier, and it's what people recommend, the silicone. And instead of the big cartridge tube, I'm using this little tube. So if it dries up and I lose the whole tube, it's no big loss. So that's what I'm doing next. I pulled up the tracks ready for gluing, and I've marked all of the joints with these felt tip marker lines here, because Kato you just need to put glue at the joints. And you see I've marked it all the way across. So I'm ready to put the silicone down. There's the track all tacked down into place with the silicone. I've got it weighted down in some key areas with these 3, 4, 5 blocks and some other heavy weights, because the alignments at the joints of the lift out, of course, are critical. So I think I can safely say I've got the lift out sorted once and for all. Let's hope. And I can get back to where I was when I started this whole detour, putting in the fascia and dealing with the lift out issues. And that's wiring up the main line and getting some trains running. That'd be great. And that means control panels and turnout controls. I'll be working on that next time. See you then.